people are always, oh, you're doing such a great job. I've got all this stuff I want to get done. All right, second hour's coming up with your calls, and we'll see if we can keep people on the telephone and do that. But Infowars.com is where you go and just click on the shop link. At least I know that website. Infowars.com. We'll stick with that.
Alex Jones.
Well, I'm in total information overload. Thank you for joining us on this Monday. We have got masses of news coming up, but I want to continue with your phone calls ahead of Bruce Fein joining us, Ron Paul's top policy advisor for his campaign. He is coming up in the third hour, always informative. We'll have calls, as I said, during that. Right now, let's go to Levi in Michigan. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Alex, and I'd like to thank you, your staff, your guests, your sponsors, and the other Info Warriors for this great fight that we're putting on.
Thank you, sir.
I am sitting here in FEMA Region 5. I'm looking out my window right now at Lake Superior. I understand that this war is something that a lot of people don't understand. Michigan was taken over 30 years ago on the water rights.
That's right. The Chinese and European ships and others pull in, take your water, and take it right out. And in some cases, taxpayers even have to pay for the infrastructure for the ships to dock and do it.
Yep. And this isn't something that is a Michigan problem. There's no state lines on this. These waterway feeds over half the United States. Being a vet, I can see the strategic battleground, what they have done in the strategic battleground field.
What have the traders done? They gave them the Panama Canal. They gave tax incentives to ship our jobs to China. And when they couldn't kill GM that way, they took it over and paid billions to ship the factories to China. Foreign enemies couldn't do this good.
No. The Lord told us it was coming. Hey, but we have to drop state lines, country lines, everything. This is a worldwide problem. We need to get together. This is going to be one big fight. Let's get ready for it. And the other thing is I see people with a lot of problems on trying to get the word out to people. If we just stop and listen, God will guide us into what these people's tyranny is really hitting them hard. Like my neighbors, I have never seen depression so bad as what it is here in the state of Michigan after they stole their jobs, feeding everybody now and everything else. And when you look at what you can research, which we are, if you're an info warrior, you are a researcher. If you listen to these people's problems, you know where to go research and help these people. Once you get these people hooked and you can show them that changing their diet and stuff like this, the little things that they can do, now you got them hooked. The fight is a lot easier then.
Well, I agree. The public's drunk on fluoride, drunk on GMO. If you can just get people off that and stop watching as much television and explain to them why things are falling apart, this is a designed depression. They paid to ship the Volt and Cadillac factories out of Michigan and to move them to China. You paid in the 20+ billion to General Motors to ship it to Brazil, China, Eastern Europe, and Mexico on record. You cannot get more traitorous than that. And you pay for the drones. You pay for the SWAT teams. You pay for the armored vehicles. You pay to be squeezed. And that's where we're going, a collapse by design. People are finally going to wake up when it comes to their area. But California, Michigan, other areas, the globalists have just done everything they can to destroy you.
California was taken because of all the food that's being grown there. I mean, they
cut off the water. They go, oh, there's a sucker fish that isn't even from this country. We're going to just cut off these big mountain lakes. You can't have the water. They're like, but we've owned this ranch for 100 years. And they go, shut up. You can sell it to us for pennies on the dollar because they're going to build on it later. And then people are finally, after 5 years, 6 years, having their water turned off. It's been going longer than that. They're selling out. And now they're going to turn that water back on. It's how these Agenda 21 crooks work. Can you believe how criminal this scum is? I watched them do it right here in Austin.
Right. I seen them doing it in Dallas. When I used to own a business in Dallas, and I lived there for 14 years, I came back home because this is where I'm from. I know that take an animal out of its natural territory, it doesn't survive very long, so I had to come home.
Anybody that thinks their ranch or farm is safe, if development comes your way, they will discover a cave bug, they will take it, they'll turn around and build on it. If you don't like it, a SWAT team will come murder you and your family. We are continuing with your phone calls. If you just joined us, at the end of the last hour, for some reason, my line was breaking up, but listeners were able to hear it. And Aaron Dykes was able to hear it. So I was asking what the last thing the caller said was. I heard the first part. Aaron says, I heard the caller fine. He suggested that something would happen at the Olympics and or Chicago NATO summit, a possible trifecta with the bad economy. Yeah, a lot of people are calling us, including police officers on air, and saying nuclear power plants are on alert during the summit, the NATO summit in Chicago coming up. We're getting reports they're going to be on alert at Camp David on the East Coast. And police we're talking to are being told that they're being told, look for something big to happen. This goes on all the time. Just because they're on alert doesn't mean something's going to happen. The prime suspects will be the globalist funding a group or staging something on their own. That's why the minute something happens in your area, you've got to be there with cameras immediately getting what really happens. We've had so many cases now where our listeners end up exposing that the globalists staged events. One of the most famous examples of this, or best known, is the example of what happened with Kurt Haskell and his wife seeing the government get the underwear bomber on the plane in Amsterdam. And, of course, there was no other source of that until a month and a half later. The government admitted it in congressional testimony. Just incredible information. Speaking of drones, Chief, drones certainly coming to skies over Beltway. WTOP radio is reporting. Look up, drones are certainly coming to the skies over the Beltway the next few years. One area police chief said, yeah, all over the country, the drones are coming. You're going to pay for them. Doesn't matter if you go bankrupt. That's the plan. More police, more checkpoints, more tyranny. But all over the country, the police are announcing they're only going to revenue generate now. In some areas, sheriff's departments are saying, we will only revenue generate. We will not respond, buy a gun. Some have been truthful. But the good news that I mentioned at the end of the last hour dovetails with what the last caller was saying about how the Great Lakes are under a UN treaty and foreign countries just come and take whatever they want of one of the biggest supplies and reservoirs of clean water, fresh water on terra firma. 75% roughly of the world is salt water on the surface, and a little over 1% is fresh water, and that's the fresh water that's on the surface. They estimate there's another 1 or 2%, I mean, if you were to bring it to the surface, that is fresh in aquifers. But the point is that this is a big deal. Here it is, Agenda 21. This is MSNBC. They're very upset. Arizona close to passing anti-UN sustainability bill. Arizona lawmakers appear to pass a Tea Party-backed bill that proponents say would stop UN takeover conspiracy, but the critics claim could end the state's cities' pollution-fighting efforts and even dismantle state unemployment office. Folks, we're under Agenda 21. Bush Sr. couldn't get us to sign on to it, but they had the bureaucracy adopt it. That's why it's standardized. The same police state environmental stuff that they have in Germany, that they have in Brazil, that they have in Canada, that they have in Australia, is Agenda 21 from the UN. And it has nothing to do with the environment. It means you've got to get permission to do anything, and they can shut down anybody they want. And it goes on. The bill is designed to protect the rights of Arizona citizens and prevent encroachment on those rights by international institutions. It goes on. And they try to say, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. No, Agenda 21's real. That's why city councils and states are passing laws against it. And counties. Okay? You just saying it doesn't exist and we're crazy doesn't work anymore. By the way, do a plug right here for everybody. Go to Infowars.com. We've got it discounted when you order it at Infowars.com. You also get a free citizen rule book and bumper stickers. Behind the Green Mask, Agenda 21. This one has a coffee stain on it, one I've been reading. Rosa Corey, excellent, 170-something pages. Give it to every city council person you know. This is coffin nails to their agenda. What do you give it to them with it? You give them Farmageddon, breaking down how Agenda 21 actually shuts down real sustainability. This is about shutting you down, making you dependent. All available at Infowars.com. Okay, enough from me. The point is there's some really good news. Matt in Germany, thanks for holding. You're on the air.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Alex, long-time listener. I'm currently in Frankfurt right now. I'm from Minnesota, and I will be back there in about a month. And I just wanted to call. I make YouTube videos all the time supporting Ron Paul, and actually my videos have been featured on your Infowars site about 3 times now, and it's just been a great help to reach a larger audience. I made a video today talking about this really key topic about Ron Paul. There's this debate going on right now on how we can make sure Mitt Romney does not win on the first-round ballot. And what I've come up with is that if you are a Ron Paul supporter but a Mitt Romney delegate, you could actually abstain through the first ballot and then move on to the second, and you are actually unbound, and then you can choose to vote for Ron Paul. There are some conflicting reports out there saying that if you abstain, you actually give up your right to vote. But the RNC is under the House of Representatives law on the floor. It's not Robert's order. So could you actually vote present like Obama did on many key issues when he was in the House of Representatives? He voted present to not actually have to give a yes or no on a bill. Could we do that?
Okay, well, let's stop right there. I mean, I don't mind plugging your video because we're actually preparing a report on the delegate strategy that the media is going to try to frame as a stratagem, which means a deceptive tool of war or a manipulation. Ron Paul, I don't think, and it's okay to give suggestions, folks, that's not attacking Ron Paul, hasn't given a clear strategy of what he plans to do when he does get the majority of the delegates, which he's moving towards, because he is capturing through the electoral process in most of these states, the majority of delegates, what he's going to do when the media spins it and says he's trying to block the popular vote, which has always been honored. He's not explaining that, and he's not even really clearly saying, once we get there, I'm going to ask for this, or I'm going to ask to be in the cabinet, or I'm going to ask, I mean, I know there's some talk about trying to block and contest Romney at the convention, and if that's the case, I think that's great, because Romney's not going to be his friend. Romney's not going to help him. If he did put him on the cabinet, he would be ignored and discredited. I don't think Ron Paul's going to do that. I am for a big fracas. I am for Ron Paul getting into the convention and absolutely taking it over and turning it into a 10-ring circus. My only issue is I haven't seen Ron Paul, and I'm not criticizing him. He's done a great job overall, supporting him. Love the work he's doing. I'm glad he ran. You can't beg somebody to run and then sit there and get mad at them when they don't do everything you do. But I'd be up there saying, impeach Obama for war crimes, impeach Obama for violating the articles of the Constitution where Congress has to authorize war, treason for saying the UN's his authority. I mean, Ron Paul, if I was Ron Paul, I'd be saying that. I'd be calling for an abolishment of the Fed now. While he's at the pinnacle of the attention he'll ever get, I would be like a bull in a china shop. Now, he is doing that. He talked about false flags in Austin and admitted the government can stage terror attacks. Unprecedented. He's talking about the CIA coup over America and government drug dealing. So he is. So I'm not watching all his speeches. In all fairness, the media may just be ignoring him. The point is that it's time for him to really, at least when he's on these national shows, cause a bigger fracas and fricassee the New World Order to continue with that nomenclature. So, I mean, what do you get? What do you think the main strategy is with the delegates?
Well, honestly, what I think a lot has happened, I believe that there's been a ton of Ron Paul supporters that have actually become stealth Romney delegates, Santorum delegates, or Gingrich delegates. I believe that we have the most